It's a pretty good Friday, and seeing as it's Easter weekend, I thought I'd wear a very springy kimono for you today. So what I want to talk about this week is something that is always present in photography, whether it's for your family albums or for art or anything creative, and that's the concept of intent. And you can think of this in a couple different ways. What did the photographer intend by taking the picture? What did the subjects within the photograph intend to convey as being people that have their pictures being taken? And of course, equally important is what is the audience's intent. And I think that's where I want to focus is when you look at these pictures, if you're like me, I intend to see art. And so I give myself that split second to appreciate something that may not have been intended to be art. I see it as art. And I want you to think of that when you're looking at these pictures, because when you see the work of people like William Eggleston or Stephen Shore, you know that their intent was to create art. These pictures, not so much. We're going to look at 5 pretty random images this week. And I don't want to take away from their quality. They're really cute, and you know, the photographer had a reason to take those pictures for some reason, and in 3D to boot. But I want you to think of them and approach it as art. So as we're looking through the pictures, we're going to, I'm going to talk about a few different things. Also, I want you to be aware of whether you're being critical, if you're being appreciative, empathetic, or cruel. You know, there's always going to be a wave of emotions going to come through you when you look at images, when you look at anything, when you consider it as art. And I think that's a deeper appreciation of whatever. So for this week, go out there, see the world, intend to see art. So let's see what we see. We're going to start with a technical misalignment of intent. Now, the photographer in this one, you may not be able to tell, intended to take a picture of a car approaching, and the car is a little too far. You push the shutter too soon. So what we get in the first case is a nice 3D picture of a road with a beautiful view. You can appreciate that as a landscape. Wasn't the intent. And here I think our first instincts would probably be to mock the gentleman on the left wearing, I think that's a sweater tee, and I'm pretty sure those are tube socks. But that instinct to be cruel is pretty quickly erased when you see that there's no embarrassment on their faces. They're quite proud, they're quite comfortable in their skin. The girl on the right looks charming and fashionable. And here's a nice picture of a parade. I've probably seen about 2,000 pictures of parades. It looks like a truck that's been covered in tinfoil. But look at these women on the float and look at their faces. There is something deeper there, about almost a bittersweetness, almost an ennui, maybe a longing to actually be at work instead of on a parade float. But there is added depth because of their facial expressions, which is quite good. This is a very odd one. I think most people these days will initially react with a bit of fear. There's something unsettling about this picture. It could be the number of uniformed guys. It could be his ill-fitting pants. One thing I want to point out on this picture, aside from the obvious, the policeman approaching, looking like he's about to spit, is the ear on the boy in the foreground. To me, it looks like it's quite swollen. I wonder if he's taken a few backhands. And here, your first thought would probably be, this is a terrible picture. There's nothing, it's so white, there's no art on the walls, there's no color, it's poorly composed. But when you take another, closer look at the people in this picture, you see a man with quite a supple wrist, and a woman sitting next to him with a really genuine look of joy. She's smiling so sincerely. There is comfort in this picture, and that's something that is familiar and wonderful, as they all are. We'll see you next week. Spend some time with the rabbit if you can.